year, he completed an interest inventory on OMJ. Those results matched with the Health Science Career Cluster. Health Science currently has an annual employment of over 766,000 jobs. There are currently more than 29,000 healthcare establishments in the state of Ohio. There are careers available in the health science field with varying degree levels. I am pleased to introduce Jessica Sizemore Stone-Syke. She is an RN at Christ Hospital, Cincinnati, in the cardiac unit. Please make her feel welcome.
How are you guys this morning? Good?
Good.
That's good. So as he said, I'm a registered nurse and I work in the ICU, which handles people with heart problems. I take care of those people and all their different surgeries that they have to try and help them get better. Does anyone have any burning questions before we start? No? All right. So I'm just going to go through a couple of the different questions that Jennifer sent me that you guys might need to know just to be interested in this career field. So for instance, some activities that I do, it changes with different nurses. Like not every nurse works with people with heart problems, but for me, I do. So things that I do, I pass medications. A lot of our patients are on different medications that either they take by mouth or they also get in an IV that goes in their arm or their neck, which is like a straw that goes into one of their veins. I also, one of my biggest activities is I do a head-to-toe assessment, and I have to see if I can find anything that looks out of the norm, because that could mean something is going wrong in their body, so I have to go and let the doctors know so they can make a plan of action how to care for that. Speaking of doctors, another thing I have to do is I have to communicate with the doctors about what's going on with the patient, because they're not there 24/7 like the nurses are. So I have to make sure I'm telling them anything that's changing day to day, hour to hour, even minute to minute with these patients. And usually that's done rounding, so the doctors and all of their assistants come by at different times during the day, and I go out and talk to them, and then we talk with the patient if the patient can talk about what's going on in their body. And then probably the most tedious task that I have to do on my day is charting. I have to chart everything I do and everything that happens with the patient. It gets a little exhausting and sometimes frustrating because I don't always get to talk to the patient as much as I'd like to, but it has to be charted to make sure that we don't miss anything. And then also obviously communicating with the patient and figuring out what they need hour to hour, day to day, to help them stay comfortable and get better and deal with their illness. And then with those activities, a nurse has to have skills. So I know all of you probably know yourself well enough that you know certain skills that you're good at and certain skills that you're not good at. And some skills that you have to be good at to be a nurse is first communication, because you have to communicate with so many different people, especially when you work in an ICU as a nurse. You have to be able to talk to doctors, all different fields in the healthcare, whether it's on an X-ray or a CAT scan, which I don't know if you guys have ever had a CAT scan before, probably some of you have. You have to be really flexible and able to critical think. The answer to certain things that you need to do for your patient, it's not always right there in front of you, so you have to be able to think, okay, what can I do to help my patient if they're having a breathing problem, or if they're not talking to me like they normally would. Maybe they're having a mental status change, which means that something has gone on neuro-wise, and then they can't respond to me appropriately. So I have to think to myself, okay, what do I need to do right now to make them better? And I have to be flexible in that 1 minute I might have one patient, and then, you know, my charge nurse, which is my nurse that's above me, and she helps run the whole unit, she might come up to me and say, hey, you're getting another patient in 10 minutes, so get your other patient ready so that you can work with this other patient. And so you have to be really flexible, and you have to be able to think on the spot. So if you're good at that, then this would be a great career for you guys. And then you have to be very attentive to detail. Like I said, with that head-to-toe assessment, I have to make sure that I don't miss anything, because if I miss something, when I'm looking at them that's different from the day before, that can mean the difference between a really big problem and stopping something bad from happening. So, are any of you thinking about being a nurse? I can't see you guys, so you'll have to speak up.
Anybody in here thinking about being a nurse? Or in the nursing field, healthcare field?
Anybody have a mom or a dad that's a nurse?
Yeah, we have about 12 or 13 hands up.
I was going to say, it's a pretty popular job, so I would imagine some of you are familiar with it. Well, in 2024, so the U.S. government did a 10-year projection for nursing. In 2014 to 2024, they project that the career will grow 16%. That's actually extremely high compared to most jobs. And a lot of that has to do with we're putting more emphasis on taking care of people before they get sick. And we've got a huge population, I'm sure you guys have heard of them, the baby boomers. So they're all getting older, and there's a lot of them compared to other generations. And as they get older, we have more people to care for than normal. So the nursing field is growing exponentially. By 2024, there will actually be over 430,000 more jobs than there were 2 years ago. Wow. So that's quite a few more jobs than other career paths. And with that being said, the average nurse makes about $67,000 a year. That's the median. That amount goes up as the more experience you get. As a nurse, there's so many different things you can get certified in, and there's so many different paths you can take. For instance, right now, I'm just a registered nurse, but my hope is to go back to school to be a certified nurse anesthetist, so I'm going to put people to sleep for different surgeries and things. And that, I can make a lot more money doing that, but I'm still a nurse, just doing a different role. So that's a great thing about being a nurse is you can go a lot of different directions. If you find something you really like to do, you can go, more than likely there's a specialty that you can go after, and you can always make your money doing that usually. So as a nurse, you need typically a 4-year degree. So you go to school for 4 years and you get your bachelor's of science in nursing. You can still go to school for 2 years and get an associate's degree, which you're still a registered nurse after you pass your test that you have to take. However, as an associate's degree, you have limited floors that you can work on, and like an acute care at a hospital, you can't work in as many places if you have a 2-year degree. So, and then I would imagine that by the time you guys get out of high school, the 2-year degree it'll be pretty obsolete, because most places they want a 4-year degree. So that's kind of what it looks like as far as education after high school, and you guys complete all your primary schooling. So yeah, and then let's see. One of the other questions was, some jobs, I'm sure you guys have parents who had to get experience doing different things before they could get the job they wanted. As a nurse, you typically don't have to have any experience in the healthcare field once you graduate from college, but you do need experience for certain positions. Like my position, I work in an ICU. Most ICUs won't hire new graduates. However, I got into a program where I had to take extra schooling, and they trained me the way they wanted to train me, so they did hire me on as a new graduate from school with no experience as a nurse. That's not common, but if you can find a program like that, then it kind of propels you a little further than most people are when they get out of school. Typically, though, you would start out on like a med-surg floor, or even maybe like a tele floor if you were in the hospital. There's other specialties, though, if you work in like an orthopedic or something. Orthopedics like bones and joints and things like that. So. But typically, you don't have to have any experience. However, what I did to help, make myself a little bit more marketable when I wanted to apply for a job, I worked at Children's Hospital in Cincinnati for 2 years as a PCA in the emergency department. So that helped me get experience in the healthcare field and understanding how everything works, because it's a very, very busy environment, and having never worked there before, it's pretty intimidating. So getting experience in something that you guys are looking at doing is always a great idea. Like if you were going to go to school to be a vet, try and go volunteer at your local vet, or even be like a vet tech if you can. So doing things like that definitely always helps you, because you start to learn, the lingo, the different words you use in different career paths. So it's always a good thing to do if you're in high school and you have a little extra time. Go and find a job, and the thing you think you want to do, it'll help you later on down the road, knowing the ropes. So as far as school that you guys are doing right now, classes that would help if you want to be a nurse would be science classes. So that's biology, anatomy is a big one, because you have to know how the human body works and all the different parts. So, and then also chemistry, which is, most people don't like chemistry. I loved chemistry. But yeah, all the major science classes can help you. And then even, it sounds silly, but speech class. Most people don't like to speak in front of people. But as a nurse, when you round with the doctors typically have anywhere from 5 to 8 people with them, and they're all different sorts. There are people that are in school to be a doctor, nurse practitioners, but you have to stand there and speak in front of all of them every day about your patient. So speech is one of those classes, but you wouldn't think it would apply to a nurse, but it does greatly, because you have to know how to talk to people and be okay doing that. Let's see here. So the next question was my favorite thing about my job. I love my scrubs. This is probably one of the most comfy work uniforms I've ever had in all my different jobs that I've done. They're comfy and they're easy to move in, and it's like kind of like going to work in sweatpants every day. So I love that. But the biggest thing I love about my job is whether it's in the morning or at night, because I work different shifts. When I leave and I say goodbye, are you guys still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've lost you on my end. So, but when I leave my shift and I say goodbye to my patient, when they smile at me and they say thank you for all you've done for me, it's the most gratifying and humbling thing when somebody who's so weak they can't take care of themselves and they say thank you very much. I get to leave work almost every day with that as I get in my car, knowing I made a difference in someone's life. So it's a really awesome experience, and I almost every shift I get that, and that's a great way to go home and go to sleep knowing that. So, and following that up, I think the next question was about the best thing about this job. Probably what's great about it is it's emotionally rewarding. Not every job gives you that, but nursing certainly gives you it's emotionally rewarding, it's humbling, it makes you appreciate your family and your life and what you have, because you see things like that taken away from people so quickly and unexpectedly, especially when you work in an ICU where there's really sick people. But definitely I count my stars and I'm thankful for what I have when I go home, because I see people lose those things when I'm at work, and it's a very humbling job and emotionally rewarding for sure. And then I have, and then you guys can ask me. Hopefully, you guys have some questions, and they can be about anything. It doesn't matter what it is. I've got a couple pictures of 2 things that I work with as a nurse and that are specific to being a cardiac nurse. One of them, the picture's not the best, but it's so you have your heart, and what it is it's a pump that beats, it makes your heart work when your heart dies, essentially. A part of your heart dies, and this pump helps your heart. We have a pump that goes in your chest, and it helps your heart work, and it keeps you alive. So patients who have these are either going to get a transplant, a heart transplant, or they're just having them placed to help prolong their life a little bit longer than what it would be without it. So this picture, I don't know how well you guys can see it.
We can see it.
This is the heart right here, and this little thing is a pump that attaches to the heart, and that's what it helps the heart. It pumps blood for the heart, because the heart's muscle, because the heart is like a muscle, like your arm. It's a muscle, and so part of that muscle dies and it needs help doing the part of the muscle that's dead, so that's what that pump does. And then there's this controller that comes outside of the body, and this little controller, it's about the size of like a smartphone, and it's thicker though, but square like this way. It's about the size of a smartphone, and it just has a few buttons, and that it powers. It has a battery pack that they wear, and that's what helps their heartbeat after that muscle is died. And then the other thing I work with a lot is, it's called a balloon pump. So you guys, you know those, does anyone know those balloons that you like tie and make animal figurines with? They're real long and skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially this is kind of what this is. It's a real long, skinny balloon. And they stick it in your heart. So this is your heart, and this is the aorta. It's a huge blood vessel in your heart. And this red thing is the balloon. And you see this is when it's deflated. And then it inflates, and there's a machine that inflates it, deflates it, and it just helps the heart not have to work so hard when it's struggling. So these are patients who come in, they have heart failure, and their body needs more blood so that blood delivers oxygen to the body. And so we use that machine, and it opens up and closes, and it helps the body pump blood around better, and the heart not have to work so hard to do what it needs to do to keep the oxygen flowing. So those are just two of the machines and devices I work with on a daily basis in my patients. But again, if you were a nurse in the orthopedic or joint spine center, you would be doing something totally different. So that's kind of the beauty of nursing. It's one career, but it encompasses such a wide variety of different things that you can go in a lot of different directions. I would say that it's one profession where it's hard to get bored, because if you get bored, then you can just go and switch to something different. I've known nurses who have worked in 10 different specialties because they've worked for a few years in one, they got tired of it, so they said, I'm going to try something new, and that's really cool to be able to do that, because not every career field you can change, I guess, what you're working with. You can control what you work with, and so, that makes it really interesting as a nurse. You can switch it up a little bit if you get bored. Does anybody have any questions for me? Anyone want to be brave, like Jennifer said earlier?
What advice do you have for our students?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to speak up. I can't.
What advice do you have for our students?
So what advice do you have for us?
Advice for just in general about...
Yeah, just to our students. What advice do you have?
My advice to you guys is when you get older, you really have to sit down and think about what you want to do. It can be very intimidating because it's, all of a sudden you're going about school, work, or life, friends, and then all of a sudden you have to really decide where you want to go. And for some people that can be really frustrating and scary. And it was scary for me, but I just picked something and I ran with it. And my biggest thing, you guys, is if you are running with something and you just feel like it's not working for you, don't be afraid to change what you're doing to find something that you feel you're really going to be able to do the rest of your life. And people switch jobs all the time. It's not uncommon at all. And that's what I love about nursing, is that if I decide that I don't like the heart, I don't want to do people, I don't work with people who have heart problems, with my degree, I can go and work in a totally different field and something totally different. So that's something I loved about it. While I picked nursing and I ran with that, I knew in the back of my mind that if I decided I wanted to change what field I was working in, I could, because that's one of the beauties of being a registered nurse. So just don't get too caught up in making a decision. Just kind of get a plan together and do the best you can. And you guys, you'll all find your way. It'll all work out. Just remember that. It all works out some way, shape, or form.
Good. Another question?
Did you have to take a big test to get your nursing license?
Yes, I did. Oh my goodness, that big test. It's called the NCLEX. And it's about, so you have to take a minimum of 75 questions. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with select all and apply, the most dreaded probably question of all. So select all the why. There was, obviously multiple choice where you just pick the one answer, and then true, false, things like that. But it was a big test, and the day I went in to take it, I was the only person that was taking the NCLEX. Everyone else was taking a test for some other career field. And but yeah, I was the only one taking that test, and I took it on a computer. And I walked out, and 2 days later I found out that I passed. So that 2 days I was a nervous wreck. But yes, it was a big test. It was pretty intimidating and scary. That's kind of the last 2 years of school, that's what they prepare you for. So it's not like you're not prepared. If you go to school for nursing, your professors and your teachers, they all prepare you for that test at the end. So.
Good. Any other questions? Haley?
How are you evaluated?
Evaluated. So we have 2 managers on my unit. Depending on what unit you work on, there can be more. And they evaluate you on, like I said, charting is a huge thing. They evaluate to see if you're doing your charting on time, if you're missing things in your charting. That's a huge thing. They use a tool to see if you're, making sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. There's other things that they're not always constantly on the unit watching you, but we also do, most units do this thing where they have your peers write reviews about you, and it's each year. It's called your annual review, and they'll pick about 3 people, and those 3 people just kind of answer a questionnaire about you, and then based off of that, I guess your performance in charting and different things and what you've done, they put all of it together and they decide how you've done for the year, and that determines, obviously if they're going to keep you on their staff, it determines if they're going to give you a raise, and then it also helps to determine if they think you should be someone they offer a higher position to, like training to be a charge nurse or training to do open heart surgery, which is where you as a nurse take care of a patient who's just had their chest cracked open and the surgeons worked on their heart. So to be able to do those different things, you have to show them that you're doing a very good job, because they don't just let anybody do that. So yeah, that's usually how the review works. It's once a year, and then they do these things where they round every month, and they kind of sit down and talk to you and ask you how it's going, and then they might bring up anything that is concerning to them. That way they can keep you on track. So they don't let you fail. They make sure that if something's going wrong, they talk to you about it, kind of like your teachers do. Your teachers don't just let you fail and, bomb the class. They keep you on track and try to help you along the way. So.
Good. Next question. Yeah.
Do you have holidays and weekends off?
I do not. This year I had to work Labor Day, and then Thanksgiving, Labor Day, and then I work Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve. So the way they do it is they divide the holidays up between all of our staff, and all of us have to work 3 holidays is how it works. And then weekends, I work every 3rd weekend. So I work a weekend off too, work a weekend off too. And the thing with that is that in nursing, I would say that's one of the, I guess, pitfalls to it, is you work holidays, you work weekends, and you work long shifts. But on that same token, I work 3 days a week, and I'm off for 4. I work 3 shifts, 3 days, and then I'm done for 4 days if I plan my schedule that way. So for me, that's a huge benefit. I like I've been off since I worked Monday, and I don't work again until tomorrow night. So it's like getting a little mini vacation every week.
Good. Next question.
How many hours a day do you work in your profession?
They schedule you for 12 hours is what you're scheduled for. However, that being said, by the time you report, and sometimes, a lot has happened and you have to stay after you chart a little bit, I'd say on average I usually work 13 hours. 12 and a half to 13 hours is what I typically do. And that's only 3 days a week though. And that for some, that is a good thing, and for other people that, you might not be able to go. I don't mind working long shifts. I'd rather get all of my hours out of the way and then have a lot of time off versus working every day for 8 hours.
Next question.
What is the worst part of your job?
The worst, probably, I would say the thing that I've found that bothers me the most is the doctors they're not the best at communicating. You find that funny, right? Because they're the ones that talk with the patients about all the important stuff. But the doctors can be very bad at communicating, especially to the nurses. They may go in and decide to change a bunch of things, and they don't always tell us right away. And then by the time they do tell us, it kind of puts us behind a little bit. But that's probably the most frustrating thing. I wouldn't say every job has its ups and downs and it's frustrating, but I'd say that's the most frustrating thing because I can't take care of my patients without the doctors telling me what they want me to do. Because they practice medicine, I don't. So when they forget to tell me things or they put orders in, so anything they order as far as like treatment wise, it pops up in our charting system. And sometimes I'll be going through that and I'll see that they ordered some things, like whether it's a new medication or a test they wanted done or some blood work. And if they didn't tell me and I was busy with my other patients and I didn't see it, then I missed that and it's kind of late. And then they get frustrated with us, but at the same time, it's kind of their fault for not telling us in the first place. That would probably be I'd say the not worst, but most frustrating about my job.
Next question.
Was being in the medical field your first option?
Well, it wasn't my first option. I wanted to go to veterinary school. I wanted to be a vet. And I really love animals. I still love animals. Love working with animals. I just kind of switched what species I wanted to work with. So I was a sophomore in high school, and my oldest brother, got very sick, and he wound up in Indianapolis in an ICU. And when I was up there, I stayed the night with him because he was there for almost 2 months. And when I saw what those nurses did, it's funny now because I'm an ICU nurse. When I saw what those nurses did for him, I was just kind of amazed, to do something for somebody, like I said, when they're at their weakest moment. It's pretty special. So that's what kind of led me down this path. And I have to say, when I worked my first shift and I left, and my patient said, thank you so much for what you've done for me tonight. It was pretty special. And I'm very happy with what I chose to do with myself. So.
Good. Next question.
Does attendance matter?
Attendance.
Attendance?
Does it matter? Does your attendance matter? Are you allowed to call off?
Yes, very much so, because what you have to know as a nurse is that if you don't show up to work, whoever's there can't leave until someone else relieves them. We can't just leave patients without a nurse. There always has to be a nurse for every patient. So if, say I'm an hour late to work, whichever nurse is there, unless someone else comes in to relieve them, they have to stay and wait for me to get there. So attendance is very important. My managers are pretty flexible. If you call and you say, hey, my car broke down, I'm doing everything I can to get there, but you let them know, they'll find somebody to come and help out until you can get there. You're not going to lose your job over that because, they understand life happens, but that is something to know. You can't just, 4 o'clock rolls around, it's time to leave. You can't just go and clock out and hit the road. You got to wait until the next nurse is there. You give them a report. They feel comfortable with their assignment and they understand what they need to do for patients, and then that's when you can leave. So that's sometimes why I leave a little late, is because, maybe someone shows up 10 minutes late, or so be it, or I have some things I didn't get done all the way and I have to help that other nurse so she doesn't get behind or he doesn't get behind.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jessica. I feel like we've learned a lot about the nursing field, and I appreciate your time today.
No problem. I hope you guys have a great day.
Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you.
All right, guys. Good luck to y'all.
See ya.
Bye.
Perfect. You guys were really good. You were like the best audience ever. I appreciate it.